Good morning. Welcome to this Google News Initiative Digital Growth Programme session. It's great to have you here today. My name's Louise. I'm going to be your guide for the next 45 minutes, taking you through this training on behalf of Google. Now, the objective of this training then is to be able to take an in-depth look at the methods that newspapers are using to successfully become online publishers. And each session that we have done and are doing, it's going to break down and cover a different element that any news business must take notice of, from things to be done before launch, shaping the value proposition, pricing, acquisition, churn rate, the list goes on and on. So each session is going to be broken down into 3 key topics, and we'll talk about what those are in just a moment. But just to let you know, we are going to be running this session for about 35 minutes, and then at the end we will have time for some questions and answers. So if you do have any, please let me know, and you can pop them in the chat that you can see on your screen right now, just below this video stream. And in that chat, moderating that chat today is my colleague Romy. She is there and she's going to be here to answer any questions and to help you out. So say hi, introduce yourself. She'll be there to take you through any questions and queries that you might have. All right, so let's crack on with the session then. So we are looking at optimizing your user funnel today. Now, this is quite an intense session. There is a lot to cover, but I'm just going to say, rest assured that everything that we do cover, we are actually going to, or can relook at in our roundtable session that's going to be happening at 11:30 today. So if there's anything that you've missed, or you go, oh my goodness, I want to explore that in a bit more detail, because I am just going to touch on the basics of it today, then do come back or let us know, and we'll share some of those links that you can do that in just a bit. So on this lovely little slide, then you can see this is our whole course that's been available of the GNI program. And you can see that actually we're reaching the end. We are there now at the reader revenue section. We've covered all sorts: business strategy, audience development, data management, also advertising revenue, and we are there at the reader revenue side of things. So right at the bottom, hopefully you've joined us for some more sessions, some of the other sessions, sorry, and actually the last session will be coming up later on this morning. So we do really want you to get the most out of this training. We want to show you a variety of options that are available to you. However, it is really important for us to say that what we are showing you, they are just options. We are aware that the world of digital publishing, it's complex, and each and every business has a different challenge, different audience, and a varying amount of resources available. So what we're going to be doing is taking you through some of those options, showing you case studies, actions, further resources. All of these are just suggestions for you. Some will be great, some might not be right for you just now. So whatever actions you take, the next steps that you decide to do, they're going to be based on your needs, your experiences, your aims. So as we work through, take what is going to work really well for you. So let's talk about what we're going to cover then today. Now, we have come a long way since the beginning of this program. Hopefully now you've sort of understood your reader, how you can be relevant. You've set up your tech stack as well, and you've built a reader base. Then the time was right to introduce reader revenue options. Now a new chapter is beginning, though. It's about maximizing your returns by optimizing your user funnel. So the 3 sections we are going to be covering today, we're going to be looking at how we can deepen reader engagement, so what steps we can take there, areas of improvement, so how we can identify areas of improvement across the funnel to convert your readers into subscribers or contributors, and plan for long-term success. So we don't want to stop here. It's about what we're going to be doing in the future. So our first key topic then for today is deepen reader engagement and how we can do that. So a lot of research has been done sort of across the GNI, both the subscriptions and the contributions labs, about investing in improving engagement with readers. And it's routinely been identified as one of the most significant enablers of a successful reader revenue model. So what are we measuring then? So a few topics here. So we're looking at first then the average visits per user. So this refers to the number of times given across a time period that users visit your publisher's site. We'll then look at average page views per user, and that's the average number of pages a user reads per visit. So improving this can actually help your organization optimize depth of engagement with readers and increases likelihood of subscriptions or contributions and calls to action. Average page speed as well, so that's how quickly your website loads, and that is critical. It's a critical metric for news organizations with advanced reader revenue models, and it's got a real strong correlation with engagement and subscriptions. We like things fast. We've got newsletter opt-in rates, so your newsletter subscription rate basically, and in the GNI US and Canada subscription labs, newsletter subscribers were 10 times more likely to convert to digital subscriptions than anonymous visitors. So that says a lot. And finally then, percentage of known readers. So this metric is defined as known unique visitors as a percentage of total unique visitors. So known unique visitors include digital and print subscribers, registered users, and email capture visitors. So what does good look like then? I know there's a lot of information on this slide. These are just some benchmarks. These are just from a couple of publications. We've got Mather Economics there and FT Strategies as well that we were working with as part of the GNI strategy and labs. So just to let you know what some other publications are doing. So average visits per user, so we've got 1.9 there and 2.3 for the FT Strategies. Average page views per user, 3.6. 4.1. Average page speed scores. So we've got the desktop there, 50 plus or 60 plus. For mobiles, 25 plus. Newsletters opt-in rates is 10%. That was from the News Revenue Hub. Percentage of known readers, 5%. And average unique days per unique user, 1.6. And average minutes spent, 2 minutes, 15 seconds or 2.5 minutes, basically. So absolutely not saying that this is where you are at the moment, or you need to be. These are big publications, but it's definitely something just so we can start gauging about what we need to be doing. So how can we improve reader engagement? Well, there are tactics to improve reader engagement. So we've got newsletter optimization, web push notifications, recirculation strategies, mobile speed, video engagement, and mobile optimization. So let's delve into them in a bit of detail. So starting off then with newsletter optimization, best practices for improving the performance of your newsletter opt-in rate. So got a few practices here for you to consider. Improve visibility for your newsletter call to action. So a way of doing this, using things like contrasting colors for the background of the sign up box and include a main sort of call to action. Really sort of make it clear, really easy for your reader to see what they need to do next. Then reduce the number of fields required. So we don't want to have to go through loads of different steps. So a great tip here is to focus on one field. So email, remove that sign up friction and enable autofill as well for the email field. Make it as simple as possible. And use one-click sign up. So your sign up box should be easily discoverable across articles and above the fold. Do not make people have to search for it because readers potentially won't, especially if they're busy. Make it obvious, make it easy. Now, in the News Consumer Insights Handbook, which we will be sharing that link, or Romy will be sharing that link throughout the session. So keep an eye out for that. Make a note of it. It's sort of implementing these recommendations. Another publication, WRAL.com in the US, it actually increased newsletter subscribers by 15% over 12 months. 15%, that is a lot. So absolutely worth considering if you are doing newsletters. Next up then, we've got a little case study for you, another case study. I have to excuse my terrible pronunciation, but the Gazeta Wyborcza, I apologize if anyone is speaking Polish there. Terrible pronunciation, I'm aware. But they actually used some of these reader engagement tactics as well for their newsletter optimization. And they observed that non-subscribers that signed up for a newsletter, they led to 34% more page views, and they spent 37% more days in a month on the website. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? So something to consider. Another way as well to sort of drive newsletter signups is setting up a registration wall. This is an effective way of capturing emails and serving your readers with opportunities to subscribe and contribute. So across participants in the GNI subscriptions lab, actually, there was a high correlation between registered users and visit frequency. And furthermore, actually, across the cohorts, the introduction of a registration wall did not have a negative impact on traffic. So that's definitely worth considering, something that potentially might be a surprise to some people. Another little case study here. This is Danic N. One registration tactic that they employed in the GNI European subscription lag was to encourage superfans. And what they asked them to do was to recommend the newspaper to their friends. And actually, in total, subscribers shared 250,000 plus links with friends. And that led to 70% of readers registering. That is some powerful statistics there. So actually, just by asking and encouraging superfans, loyal readers, to recommend it to their friends. Okay, let's look at web push notifications then. So the News Consumer Insights team found that targeted web push notifications can actually have a 25% click-through rate and an opt-in rate between 5 and 15%. So this can be a powerful tool to drive readers on mobile devices back to your website for multiple visits. So we do have some best practices, and that's all about building your own web push notifications or work with a third party, as well as including well-timed and well-positioned sign-up prompts. Choose when to push native versus custom prompts. And just a little tip around that. Native prompts tend to lead to more opt-ins, while custom prompts tend to provide more value in the long term. So definitely worth exploring both of those possibilities. And I highlight why your readers should subscribe to your web push notifications by customizing the content they're reading. Make it tailored to them. And another tip on that one, actually, images tend to drive more engagement, and they will help you with creating impactful messages which communicate with your brand. So yeah, images, great one to add on top of that, just another layer which can be really beneficial. Next up then is the recirculation strategy. Actually, a great way to ensure that your readers consume more articles per visit is with a recirculation strategy that really highlights additional content for readers to consume. So best practices for encouraging your user to read more articles during the visit, things such as being aware that recirculation articles should be easily discoverable across and at the end of your articles. Again, don't make it difficult for people. You want it right there that they will click on, they can find it easily. Make sure as well to leverage recommendation engines and ensure a healthy balance between external and internal article recommendations. That can just sort of build that trust that your reader has with you. Use images to drive more engagement. We've already mentioned the power of images. Just a little tip there, limit the number of articles that in your recirculation units to avoid decision fatigue. So again, we've got images to get people's attention, but we don't want too many, because if that decision is too complicated, then people aren't going to click on anything. So just a few simple ones, limit the number that's relevant to your reader from the article they've just read, and hopefully they then will make that decision to move forward. Make sure your header is sticky. Include your logo. That provides a great opportunity for readers to visit your homepage, especially mobile users. And try using advanced recirculation formats like Anchor, which performs great on mobile, especially for long-form articles or pages which require lots of scrolling. So lots of information there. And again, all of this is going to be in the playbook, which we will share with you, the link to that. So you can always go back and have a little read through of this again. Case study for you then, Portal Bambini. I can only apologise for my pronunciations. I'm sure so many people would pronounce these so much better than me. But it is another great example of how this works. So they improved user engagement and loyalty by promoting relevant content and improving on-site recirculation. And what this did was lead to a 7% increase in sessions and a 75% increase in pages per session. So that was another fantastic example of how this worked really well. Okay. Mobile speed as well. Casual readers, they're less likely to be patient and wait for a site to load. 50% of all readers will leave a page if it takes 3 seconds or longer to load. It's not a lot, is it? Not a lot of time. We can be very impatient with this stuff. Page speed is also a ranking factor for mobile searches, can potentially impact your search rankings. So best practices here, using things like Google Lighthouse to improve the quality of your web page. That can help determine what is taking time. Evaluate all of the JavaScript tags and the CSS that is being used and remove those unnecessary resources. Optimize your images. Use JPEG 2000 or JPEG XR or WebP, and ensure that none of your images are larger than 100 KB and that most actually are within 50 KB. Ensure elements that necessarily are loading first. So make sure the ones that are loading that are absolutely necessary, you want people to see first, they load first, so they're not blocking that interaction. And are you lazy loading? Worth considering. Not all readers will scroll to the end of your page right away. So make sure you're loading content as the user scrolls. So do it at the top first, scrolling down, and then finally it could be at the end there. So wonderful. Hopefully that can give you something to think about. We've got video engagement as well here. You know, studies suggest that users spend 88% more time on a website that has a video. Ensuring that your video presence is optimized is so important. So if people are staying because they want to watch that video, it's going to keep them on longer. Got to make sure that it loads. So improve your video player presence. Make the video player the primary focus of the page. Optimize your autoplay setup and unlock recirculation within your video. So just a few top tips on this, best practices. We've already mentioned making the video player the primary focus. Transfer your video player's data to Google Analytics with the news tagging guide tool. And this will allow Google to analyze news consumer insights and provide data on that video consumption. So that's a great way that you can actually see how effective that is being using Google Analytics and the news tagging guide. And mobile optimization then, just because your desktop landing page can be viewed on a mobile device doesn't mean you shouldn't design specific pages solely for mobile. You have between 0 and 8 seconds to make a compelling headline and a landing page. After 8 seconds, the majority of visitors leave. So just a few best practices around this, you know, pin the content above the fold of the mobile, the important content, display 3 packages to maximize conversion, keep your landing page concise and clean, and make your landing page load faster. So just always remembering that the longer the readers have to wait, the more likely they are to give up and leave the site. So I know that was a lot to take in. Hopefully Romy, I'm sure she has shared the playbook link with you. She's got all that information in so you can go through it on your own time. So moving on to section 2 then, our second topic of the day. We are looking at how we can identify ways of tracking your organization's performance and identifying areas of improvement across the funnel. So what does success look like? What are the metrics to measure and where are the areas that we can improve? So let's walk through this in a little bit more detail for you. So while all news organizations need to focus on growing and engaging readers, the conversion and monetization metrics described here are a specific concern to news organizations with reader revenue models. So what are we measuring then? So we've got things like the core metrics, conversion rates, meter stop rates. That's the percentage of unique users who hit the paywall versus total unique users. Paid stop conversion rates. That's unique users who subscribe versus unique users who hit the paywall. And the average revenue per user. Other metrics as well, pay flow efficiency, print to digital activation rate as well. So they're what we are measuring. Lots of information for you on here. Again, these are just some examples, just so we're aware. What does good look like? So elaborating on this a little bit. So conversion rates then, these are our same examples that we used earlier. 2% to 4%, that was for the FTI Consulting and Mather. Contributions, 0.121%, that's the News Revenue Hub. We've got meter stop rate as well. We've got 5 to 7% or 5% for another couple of publications there, 7.8. So anything there between 5 and sort of 8%. Paid stop conversion rates, 0.5, that was for FTI, and 0.9 for Mather Economics. Average revenue per user, so the developed markets then, subscribers were at sort of $10 to $15, contributors $9 to $15, and emerging markets there, 5 to 7, and for the contributions, 3 to 5. Now, as I said, there is a lot of information on that slide. I'm very aware that it might not be where we're at. These are obviously for developed markets and developed publications, but certainly just worth considering when we are measuring our own. So let's just talk a little bit more about the meter stop rate, because it's a really interesting topic. So this metric, it indicates the percentage of unique users who hit your subscription paywall. And this metric is only relevant to news organizations with that subscription model. So while we've noted a target benchmark of 7.6, that was for Mather Economics on the last slide, publishers with a hard paywall or a significant amount of premium content will actually likely see significantly higher meter stop rates. So if your meter stop rate is significantly higher than the target benchmark, your paywall might be too tight and you are potentially trading off advertising revenue. And that's unless you also have a high paid stop conversion rate. So definitely worth considering if that number is a lot higher. So if your metric stop rate is too low as well, you could be missing opportunities to convert readers into subscribers. So that's that benchmark that we gave of 7.6%. It's just worth considering. It's just a great framework that you can then base your own percentages on. So just a few tips, set a tighter paywall, run meter experiments, implement a dynamic paywall as well. So, dynamic paywalls change depending on a reader's level of activity. It's a great way of actually experimenting what works and what doesn't. So a reader with high engagement will see the subscriptions paywall at a lower number of articles than a reader with a lower engagement. So this basically assumes that the readers with higher levels of engagement are more likely to subscribe than readers with low levels of engagement. So this metric as well that we, just making sure that, apologies there, thought I'd skipped through a slide there and I hadn't. So moving on then to improving that average reader revenue. There are a number of tactics you can use to help improve average reader revenue. We can implement dynamic pricing based on engagement. So some publishers use dynamic pricing in order to serve subscription offers at higher prices to readers with higher engagement levels. We can run price testing as well. A/B tests can be run to understand sort of what prices lead to higher subscriptions and conversions. A/B testing is great because it does mean that actually you're not taking anything away, you're running two things at the same time just to make sure and to see what is working best for your publication. So, online tests as well can be implemented using tools such as Google Optimize. Newsletters as well can be targeted using reader attributes, and email campaigns can also be tested using those A/B groups. And implement tiered pricing, across both subscriptions and contributions. News organizations can implement tiered pricing models for different tranches as well of their subscriptions and contribution programs. So just a few things to think about on there. So a little case study here. This is Reporter magazine. They created a special COVID-19 subscription deal for stay-at-home readers, and they actually ran a crowdfunding campaign to soften the economic blow of the pandemic. So they were very open with their readers why they were doing what it was, and they managed to raise €43,000 by doing this. It was there really to seek reader support. So instead of using all the paywalls and everything going on, they just very openly said, look, here it is. Here's the COVID-19 subscription deal. This is what we're doing. We're raising money for it. Can you help? And as a result, €43,000. So just a case study of how that was very beneficial for them. Now, I am aware there's a lot of text on this slide, but I'm just going to touch on it. If you come to the roundtable later, we can explore this in a lot more detail, but just really considering investing in your tech stack, improving your performance across your target metrics often requires investments in technology. Building software and processes that meet your business's needs, it is a complex topic, and the solutions can vary drastically across regions and countries. So to help news organizations understand what's available, we've asked participants in the GNI Reader Revenue Labs to compile a list of technology solutions that addressed their needs. So just take a moment there to digest what they have put up on those slides. There's loads there from, content management systems to payment solutions. Take away what is beneficial for you. And like I said, if we do come to the roundtable later on, we can delve into this in a lot more detail. Okay. So, big question for you then. How can you improve across the funnel? Well, a bit of activity for you then about how we can use the user funnel diagnostic. So we want to use this to see how you're performing across key metrics. So now we've actually taken a look at those key metrics and tactics to improve performance across the funnel. You can then use the user funnel diagnostics to track your news organization's performance and identify areas for improvement. So just a little note, none of that data that you input is going to be collected or stored, just for peace of mind there. But using the user funnel diagnostics and the content from this section can help identify the narrowed down list of tactics that you are interested in implementing to improve your performance across sort of each of those metrics. So if you were struggling on that last slide to know where to start, absolutely delve into the user funnel diagnostics to see what you should be implementing or potentially should be implementing. Pay particular attention as well to metrics where you are currently underperforming. Note the ones that are working really well, but we want to make sure that everything across the board get that overall performance rate at the same. So we want to make sure we are overperforming if possible rather than underperforming. So make sure that we are really focusing on those ones. All right then, last section for today then, and thank you again so much for being with us today. I know this is a lot of information. You can go to the GNI playbook. The link would have been shared and all of this is in there. You also have the opportunity to re-watch this session as well. We'll share that link at the end of the session. So one more section and then we'll answer any questions that you have and make sure you get all those links. But very important section now. We don't want to miss this one. It's how we can plan for long-term success. So for many publishers through the turning point on their reader revenue journey was when the organization's leadership set an ambitious long-term reader revenue goal. It was a vision and it was really there to energize and inspire the entire organization. So in this section, we'll discuss how to set the reader revenue goal and how to build a plan that can help your news organization or sort of really aim towards that. So specifically what we're going to be looking at now is how to establish a long-term goal, confirm the target metrics and enable you to achieve your reader revenue goal, and catalog tactics for achieving your target metrics. Just before we delve into the details there, I can see just popping up from Romy there saying hi to Michael. Michael's left a lovely comment saying really enjoying it. So I'll read that out properly at the end, but just a massive hi to you, Michael. It's really nice to have you here. So thank you so much for being in the chat and getting involved. It's really great. And I look forward to having a chat with you at the end. So let's delve into this. Now we've had time to digest everything that we've already spoken about. So the importance of establishing a long-term goal then. So for many of the world's most successful news organizations, setting long-term goals for their reader revenue model means setting an aspirational goal. And often this has meant that setting ambitious stretch goals that push the news organization beyond what it thought was possible. So an example of this was actually the New York Times. They achieved 10 million subscribers. Their ambition, their stretch goal was to achieve 10 million subscribers by 2025. Now, this has become a bit of an aim for the entire company now, and it's something they're really working towards. For the Financial Times, they actually set a target of 1 million subscribers, and they actually achieved this 1 year ahead of that schedule. So actually, just by having that goal set, they reached it way earlier than they ever expected they would do. So by setting your news organization's reader revenue goal and assessing what your news organization needs, the reader revenue business to be sort of long-term sustainable. That's our aim. So we need to set those goals and assess what your news organization needs the reader revenue business to be for a long-term sustainability. You can quantify this goal as either the number of subscribers or contributors or the overall subscription or contributors revenue you drive. All other metrics you pursue should feed into this main goal. So how do you answer the questions then 3 years from now? How much revenue do you want to drive through reader revenue? So yes, 3 years from now, what is the answer to that question? Same with some news organizations answer this by projecting their current revenue streams over the next 3 years. So things like advertising, reader revenue, events. Based on that outlook, they anchor a reader revenue goal to offset losses in other revenue streams. So just worth having a little think about. Always thinking 3 years in advance, where do I want to be? How many subscribers as well, or contributors you will need to acquire the reach and actually make that goal, hit that target. So in 3 years, how many subscribers or contributors will you need? And what percentage of your overall revenue will come from reader revenue? What is that percentage? And actually, are we then adding in other tools, other revenue streams to meet that goal as well? So always worth thinking about. And we've got a really nice table here for you, nice color-coded table. And actually, this is just an example. It is a case study from North Star exercise. So for many, as we mentioned earlier, of the world's most successful news organizations, setting these long-term goals for their reader revenue models means setting that sort of aspirational goals. So just an example here then, what North Star did. So they identified, and what you want to be doing is sort of identifying your North Star goal. So they set 100K USD subscription revenues by 2023. So once you've done that, it's then about choosing your desired outcome. So theirs was to reach 450,000 subscribers by 2023. Identify the hypothesis that will enable you to test this and achieve this. So they were offering more personalized newsletters with increased visits and unique views, and then identify the experiment required to test this hypothesis. So they launched newsletters based on content history of users. So that's a lovely little example of actually how North Star, it's the North Star exercise, and how they can do that and how we can turn it into our own. Just a couple of seconds there for you to digest that before we move on. And again, we can break this down in the roundtable at 11:30, but I'm just very aware of the time, and I must finish this. I don't want to rush anything at the end. So let's delve into this in a little bit more detail then. So confirming the target metrics. So you want to confirm the target metrics that enable you to achieve your reader revenue goal. So identifying the target metrics that can help your news organization reach its reader revenue goal is key, but difficult. So this provides an important measure of success, which we can associate tactics towards achieving. So target metrics should be based upon your organization's revenue data. They can be calculated using the GNI planning tool, which hopefully Romy will share with you in the comment section below. So you can take that after the session today and go and have a little explore of it. Just a case study for you then, Financial Times. They used a strategy which recommends a metric used by the Financial Times to fuel its subscription growth called RFV. And this combines reader engagement, the frequency and volume into a single score. So it looked over the last 90 days to see how recently a reader visited, how many times and how much they read over that period. So RFV then, so it was recency, when did they last visit, frequency, how often, and volume, how many articles. And surprisingly, this result is so meaningful that it actually predicts cancellation rates as well. So there's so much you can do with this tool. Definitely worth having an explore. So the next step is to explore the options for achieving the target metric. So for each of those tactics, it's helpful to think through the following dimensions then. So assess your technology, the needs for those tactics. So assess what you actually need within a technology area within your organization that actually will meet those tactics and make sure those goals are met. Catalog the investments you might need to make to implement that tactic. How much will it cost over 1 year? What portion of that cost is fixed versus recurring? And determine if there is any unproven hypothesis you need to test with an experiment before implementing the tactics. And if so, what is that experiment? So for example, let's assume that one of your target metrics was improving your conversion rates, and in particular, focusing on improving the meter stop rate for your subscription model. So for the purpose of this illustration, we're going to assume that your news organization has a metered model with no premium content. So your news organization has a meter of 8 and a meter stop rate significantly underperforming the benchmark, suggesting that you might have an opportunity to tighten that paywall. So that's just one example for you. So this does seem complicated. Where do I start? Well, don't worry, because we've got a fantastic tool for you, the GNI planning tool. So use this planning tool to confirm your target metrics, catalog tactics, and uncover your own data. So what is your current performance for the following? So enter data for the following results. So monthly active users at the end of the month, monthly active user growth rates, conversion rates, average digital reader revenue per user, churn rate, and how many subscribers did you have at the end of last month. And we can share the link to the playbook, which has more details about the GNI planning tool. And hopefully that will be super, super beneficial for you. So just to refresh what we've been through. It seems like we've covered a lot in this session. In fact, I know we have. So do not fear if we're going, oh my goodness, how do I take all this in? We've got lots of ways where we can delve into this in more detail. You can rewatch it. I'm going to share all of that with you in just a second. So just refreshing your minds then, we did look at how we can deepen reader engagement. We then looked at areas of improvement, so how we could identify areas of improvement across the funnel to convert your readers into subscribers or contributors. And then we looked at planning for long-term success. So, questions. I can actually see, I'm just going to have a little look on my, I've got a lovely document from Romy here with lots of comments, things that have been said. So if there are any questions at all, please pop them into that box. So, I know I've already said hi to Michael. Now, you're from Best Practice News in Nigeria. Wow. Oh, fantastic to have you here. Thank you so much. I don't know what the time difference is. Is that a really silly thing to say? You could be on the same time. I don't know. But thank you so much for joining us. Getting great insights from the Digital Growth Program, Shaping My Startup. That's fantastic to hear. Michael, please come to the roundtable later on today at 11:30 if you can. Would love to know what you've been implementing, how it's been helping. Really glad to be here. I look forward to the day's session. I hope that was as useful as some of the other ones to you. So unrelated works as well. Hi, Flo, how you doing? Nice to have you back again. Hopefully as well, you'll be popping onto the roundtable a little bit later on today. Are there any smart recirculation engines? Now, I know that Romy has actually answered this. And actually, I completely agree with what she said. Delving into the playbook there, it does give some suggestions for you. We can do that in the roundtable if you like. If you want to come back, we can sort of open it up and look at what is going to work best for you. And if you do have a very sort of specific question as well, I know that that email address has been shared in the chat, which is the GNI Digital Growth MEA@google.com. So they will answer any questions and further questions that we have. So yeah, those smart recirculation engines, we'll have to, we'll delve into it with specific, with your specific sort of publication a little bit later if you come back to the round table. So I know we did, I think it was Anchor we mentioned in this, but there are lots of other ones as well that we can explore in more detail. Yes, are there any more questions? I think that might be it for now, which is great, but it's so nice to hear from you. So thank you so much for popping your questions and comments into the chat. It's so nice to know who is here and who is, watching from where. So just a reminder then that actually this was, I suppose, our penultimate session. We do have one more starting a little bit later today, in fact, in about 15 minutes. So if you want to come and join us, we will be there looking at alternative incoming streams. So we did mention that a little, very briefly in today's session, actually, not only about reader revenue, but actually what else can we do to raise that money. So we'll be looking at that in details at 10:30 today. We're going to share a link with you, or Romy will share a link with you now about how you can re-watch this session, and actually the other ones from the reader revenue section as well. So if there was too much to take in one go, please feel free to go back and watch that. You've also got the link to the GNI playbook, which is fantastic. It's a brilliant tool. Everything we've touched on is in there. So it's absolutely worthwhile making a note of that, keeping it safe. So at any time you go, oh, well, actually, I need to delve more into my audience to develop them a bit more, you can go look at the audience development section and the data management. You get the gist. So make sure we are keeping hold of those links. So just want to say a massive, massive thank you for joining us in today's session. But there are sort of more ways as well in which we want to help. So I've mentioned this already, our roundtables, our deep dive sessions. So this is going to be taking place at 11:30 today. Myself and Romy will be there, and it will be for an hour. And we literally will just go through any of those key questions that you have. If you want to go through anything in the session that we've just covered, we can go through that as well, and hopefully we can just clear a few things up to make sure that you're heading on your way to make sure that that reader revenue target is exactly what it needs to be. So you can sign up, and I'm sure Romy has already shared that link with you, but make sure that you do sign up and come and say hi. We've also got labs as well. There are a number of other training labs running, and we would love to signpost you. Recommend that you can visit the GNI website to do that. There's also a link which Romy will share. And finally, our feedback, well, your feedback for us. It's so important to us. It's how we can evolve. It's how we can improve our support. And I know a link is being shared in the chat right now. So if you do have 2 minutes just to fill that in, we would really appreciate it. Things you want to see, things you loved, things that you go, well, actually, if we did it this way, this would have been really great as well. So all those comments that you've got, we would love to hear from you. But that is it. It's been an absolute pleasure. As I mentioned, we've got another session starting at 10:30. So I hope you stick around for that one. The roundtable starting at 11:30. You've got that playbook. You've got the link to watch back. But it's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope to see you again very soon.